Welcome to Gospel Tangents, the best source for Mormon history, science, and theology. I'm Rick Bennett. In 2013, many Swedish members of the church were questioning church history. What did the LDS Church do? They sent some of their best historians and leaders out to help answer these questions. Hans Mattsson details this in his book, Truth Seeking, and we're going to find out more about it in our next conversation with Hans about the actual Swedish rescue, as it has come to be known. Check out our conversation. All right, well, let's jump back to the Swedish rescue there. So 2000 to 2005, you were a general authority, started to get some questions about church history that you didn't really know how to answer. So 2005 to 2010, after you released, you started searching on Mormon stories and other places like that. And then 2010 was when the Swedish rescue. So the two questions I have about that, I noticed in your book that Travis Stratford designed the cover of your book. And of course we know...
He's a good friend.
Yeah, so did you know him as a missionary, or how did you get acquainted with Travis?
No, I didn't know him because he didn't serve in Stockholm because I lived in Stockholm then, but he served in Gothenburg, and he get to know the Mattsson clan or family quite well, and my parents and my brothers, and he was quite well, and of course he heard more about me than I met him, and through Facebook and John DeLynn, he found out that I existed, and he contacted me, and we started to a relationship.
Okay.
And he was the one. And sorry.
Oh, I was just going to ask. Do you know when he served in Sweden as a missionary? I'm asking you hard questions.
No.
That's fine.
He probably knows himself, I guess.
I'm sure he knows.
Must be sometime during the late 90s, I think.
1990s, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so in this 2005-2010 period, as I read in your book, one of the things that you started to bring up some of these issues at church with like polygamy and the stone in the hat and that sort of a thing. And that didn't go over so well, did it?
Well, I was learned from my family, my dad, and when I was school, if you don't know, ask questions. So I was trying to ask questions all the time, and I think I was not rude, but I was kind of, I didn't give up. So I asked questions and tried to follow the question next time. The stake president and his counselor come to my home, and they forbid me to talk to my wife about those questions, and they forbid me to talk to my children, and also to talk to anybody in the church about my questions, because, I guess we're worried about, they didn't know anything about it.
So, and I know, I have a question, because I think a lot of us that know these sorts of things kind of know, basically because of what you experienced. There are certain questions you don't ask at church. And I will tell you, I started a blog and a podcast because I wanted to talk about this stuff. And I knew that it wasn't safe to talk about it at church because of what you said. People tell you not to talk about it. And I think, so why did you keep talking about it? Was it just this kind of need to get this out? And
well, I was actually seeking the truth. What is true? Is it, as everybody said, you are deceived by the devil. You are just reading anti-Mormon literature, and this is not true at all. You use false. But still, why don't you answer my questions then, if this is all false? And I mean, an apostle of the Lord telling me that he has questions, no answers to the questions, and then he never give out any book about it. He don't know anything about it. I'm not supposed to ask him anything more. And for me, there is kind of a disturbance there. Mm-hmm. In Sweden, we call it a lie. If someone tells things like that and they don't follow up. So someone is hiding something, and I really, really wanted to know the truth, because I thought it was true. And if it is true, we should know about it. Mm-hmm. And during this time, though, you should know that, of course, I talked to my twin brother, and I talked to some other, and my mother, and my twin brother was really, really worried. So he contacted Marlin Jensen, because we served together in Europe and also Elder Rasband. And is it okay to tell that story now? Because leads up to the Swedish rescue.
Exactly. Yeah, we definitely have to go there. I will just add one other thing. I've met Marlin Jensen at some of the Mormon history conferences. I think he's one of the kindest people I've ever met. I mean, he's just a fine person. So,
I mean, if someone is Christ-like, he is. Mm-hmm. That's my feeling, and that's why I respect him so much.
And he was the one who helped ordain you along with Elder Holland, is that correct?
Yes. And we had wonderful spiritual experiences as 70s as well in Europe, being out together, sure.
So your brother, was he a church leader as well? Like a stake president?
Yeah, he was the stake president after me. When I left from Gothenburg to Stockholm, I was released as a stake president, but he was then called to a stake president, which is kind of funny that the Mattsson brothers is still there. So yeah. So he is very, very TBM also, and of course he's worried that I'm or deceived. So he called Elder Jensen, and through Elder Jensen we found out that they sent Elder Rasband to Sweden to talk to me and discuss things. So we had a wonderful meeting at the restaurant, eating beautiful and nice food, and the evening was just in the Swedish summer, kind of light, even in the night. And Birgitta and I and my twin brother and his wife met, and then Elder Rasband and I talked for 3 hours, kind of about my questions and how I felt and why I was asking questions and so on. And he was just polite, beautiful, and you said that remember the good things your feelings you had when you had your testimony, and remember what your parents have done for you, and don't put them in a situation that you don't support them anymore. But I was not talking about my parents really. I was more interested in the church and the truth claims. Anyway, then he promised me, Hans, I give you my testimony that the church is true. The Joseph Smith did see the Father, and the Book of Mormon is true, and the golden plates, and he translated. And then he said that before this year ends, I will have Marlin Jensen coming over with some of the historical department people that know more than I do. And
so Elder Rasband admitted he just didn't know the answers to these questions?
No. Well, there is no answers. But if you answer, I already have them, because what they've said is anti-Mormon is the truth. And so that what shall I do? So they just try to give you testimony and good feelings. But what I liked with Elder Rasband was he was friendly. He promised me to send someone else. like Marlin Jensen then and Elder Turley. And that's when the Swedish Rescue could start in November 2010. It's about 4 or 5 months after my meeting with Rasban.
Okay, so Rasban promised to send Brother Turley, who's a good church historian who would know all the answers.
Yeah.
At least that was the expectation.
Of course.
Okay, so tell us more about how that meeting went.
With what meeting do you expect to talk about now?
The Swedish Rescue, where Elder Turley and Jensen came.
First of all, it was a secret meeting. No one should know about it. It
wasn't public.
No. It was just we had the new area authority 70, Ingvar Olsson, and he was inviting those that the bishops would have at the meeting to straighten us out. And I called him because I know him quite well. And I said, hey, listen, I can help you because I know all the people you should have there. No, I said, no, I go through the bishops and the stake president. Anyway, we were there in the evening as Sunday evening after everything was closed in the church. And we were about 20 struggling, seeking truth people. and in the same time, they had also called bishops and stake presidents and some high councilmen and PR people from the church also were there. So we were about 45 people. And also the area president, Elder Kubiske, come up from Germany, so there was quite a strong leadership there. And of course, as I know, Jensen went out and welcomed him and hugged him. I said, I'm glad to see you again. I hope you could give us some good answers. And he said, oh, I'm glad you're here, Elder Mattsson. I know you, I'm glad. And you can help me. And I said, well, I only wanted to know the truth. So we start there. So anyway, we were into the meeting and Elder Jensen, after we introduced ourselves, why we were there and who we were and who we are, Elder Jensen started the meeting by on the whiteboard making a line from up to down, and so you divide it in two sides, and that one was Jesus, God, and the church. Another was Satan and the world, and he gave a lot of scriptures that prove that if you're not in the church, you are in the world and in the hands of Lucifer. And so it was very, very tough kind of way to start with. And we felt like, well, we're not here to discuss if we are Satan's people or we are God's people. We just wanted to know the truth. Mm-hmm. But it was very black and white then. And after that, Elder Turley went up and we were asked what kind of questions we had, and he wrote it down. I think about 12 questions down, like the hut and the stone, to polygamy, polyandry. Do we believe in polygamy still? And I can't remember all the questions, but they are not so. Today is very common. Anyway, so yeah, we really try to ask questions and discuss them with them about them, and they try to answer questions. And some of the questions I remember, Christina Hanke, the one who wrote part of my book, she asked, is it still a principle in the church that we should lie for the Lord? And he didn't like that question literally, but I guess he probably thought she meant him. She met him, but she just wanted to know, because on her mission she just thought that this was one of the principles the church used. And he said, well, if someone said, I will kill your family if you don't agree with things, you probably would lie. Yeah, but yeah, and so on. And so there was, and I remember I was asking, what about polygamy? Is that still something, is that still a doctrine and something we believe in? And Marlene said, we don't practice it. And I said, well, I know that, but do we believe in it? I have to ask him 4 times. In the end, I said, are you not allowed to say that we believe in it? Or what is your problem? And then they said, well, we believe in it. Because I also said, I have a good friend, his wife died, and he is married in the temple with a second wife. So he believes in polygamy. Yep. So that kind of questions we discuss, and we didn't just, we were nice, but we also trained in Sweden to be critical and try to have the answers, not just to say, well, here's a general authority, we don't ask questions like that. So, but we did try to get answers. Well, one of the best things in my mind that happened that meeting was that everything we have been talking to our leaders about, and they were sitting there, and we have been called deceived by Satan. We have been called that we are reading anti-Mormon literature. Marlene Jensen and Leonard Turley confirmed that this is right. We didn't, this is true story. And that's what's, for me, one of the best things, because then the Swedish leaders at least would know that there are questions and there are some history that they didn't know about, that they think was anti, but well, probably is anti in a way for them. But
so let me make sure I understand that. So you're saying that prior to the meeting, you were told you were listening to the anti-Mormon literature, and then during the meeting, say that again?
During the meeting, Elder Turley and Elder Marlene confirmed that there was polyandry, there was a stone in the hat, there was the many wives from Joseph Smith also, and those Book of Abraham, of course, a DNA, and those questions that comes around the history of the Book of Mormon and so on.
So those were true, is what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, and they confirm for our leaders that we were not out doing anti-Mormon scriptures. That, yeah.
Okay, so would you say it was kind of a contentious meeting? Was there a lot of hard feelings between the audience and the leaders, or?
Not really, more than a couple of times that we didn't give in. We just consist to ask those same questions to the answer. But I feel that they were very kind. They know they really told us that we know everything you're talking about, and we probably know even more. So, and we are still members. They belong to your kind of people. That's still. I remember I asked Elder Jensen privately, "Are you in the church because you believe in it, or are you in the church because you get all the good living from it and the money and what everything it is?" And he looked at me and said, "Well, the church have given me a good life, and well." So I think I was quite straightforward when I asked that. You know, one thing that troubled me of this Swedish rescue is the area president, Kubicki, after the meeting, he kind of took the time and told us very strict that either you are in the church or you are out. You have to make a decision now. You stay in the church and go back and stop talking about those things we're talking about here, or you leave. And also he forbid us to talk to anybody about it. He really asked us to go up on a high mountain or sit by the sea and figure it out together with the Heavenly Father. And none of us really felt good about it, because we were not there to be asked if we are follow Lucifer or we are follow Jesus. We were there to find the truth, and that kind of gave us no good feelings. But I can tell you that Marlin Jensen, he really, during the whole meeting, giving a very good feeling and spirit, and seriously tried to understand what we were asking about. But you can read all about it.
You can read it in your book. So, because I just have to say, Marlin Jensen, really, for those who don't know him, one of the most Christ-like, kindest people I've ever met. I can't say enough good about him.
I met him a few times afterwards also.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so did you feel like, basically the result of the meeting was the church leaders confirmed that what you had been learning was true and it wasn't really necessarily anti-Mormon. No. And then 2, they didn't want you to talk about it anymore. They're like, okay, this is the meeting. Yeah. We're going to talk about it today and then don't talk about it anymore.
Or leave.
Or leave, okay. Yeah. So they kind of did give you an ultimatum.
Yeah.
I mean, so the good you took from the meeting was, okay, they confirmed that the stuff you'd been learning was true, but the bad thing was they didn't want you to talk about it anymore, or leave.
And also that there is no book about telling they are all liars, and there is no answers besides that this is really true the way it is explained from so-called anti-Mormon literature. I don't say everything is true what they say in the anti-Mormon literature, but at least the one we asked about.
Yeah, well, and I know that a lot of it has to do with framing. You can frame things one way and it sounds terrible, and you can frame things another way and it's not as bad. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Hans Mattsson. In our next conversation, we're going to talk about his interview in the New York Times. How did church leaders react to that?
Birgitta and I was called to stake president for interviews twice, and second time I took Birgitta with me, and they were going to excommunicate. Thank you. That's exactly what I tried to say. And they said, we let you know. And after 2 weeks, I had a phone call, and I said, we don't do anything. So
they wanted to excommunicate both you and her, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
For those of you who are interested in the entire interview uncut without any interruptions, sign up at patreon.com/gospeltangents, and you can hear the entire interview for just $5 a month. Also, we have other tiers. If you'd like to subscribe on our website at gospeltangents.com, click on the yellow subscribe button, and you can subscribe for $10. You can also do that on Patreon and get a PDF transcript. We've also got some other ones for $15 and $20 if you'd like to get those as well. If you're interested in individual transcripts, go to Amazon.com and do a search for Gospel Tangents interview, and you can see our past interviews there in paperback form. So just check out Gospel Tangents. We're always updating those. For the latest updates on Facebook, go to facebook.com/gospeltangents, and you can see our latest updates there. We're also on Twitter at Gospel Tangents. Of course, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts at tinyurl.com/Gospel Tangents. And please give us a 5-star rating for those of you who listen to audio only. So once again, thanks for listening. Click here to subscribe, here for a transcript, and over here we've got some more of our great videos. Thanks again.